While everybody gets settled, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, good morning, Seattle, Creative Mornings. I am Lee Allen Arredondo, and I am the Seattle chapter host of Creative Mornings. Creative Mornings is a volunteer-run, community-based monthly event. This was started in New York City in 2008, as a way for people to connect about things that they cared about, and it's now grown to over 200 cities in over 60 countries. So this clearly is a format that really resonates with a lot of people, just like you all. This month marks the Seattle chapter's 13th anniversary. Woo! Yes. And we have a few of our original organizers here that I would really like to thank. If you were involved in the earliest chapters, or the earliest years of Creative Mornings Seattle, can you just stand up so we can thank you, David and Jeremy and Robert, and also John, our photographer, and Robert, also a photographer. So thank you so much. It has been quite a journey. So, all right. Anyone here, this is your first time at a Creative Mornings? I met one of you in the elevator, so welcome. Were any of you brought here or heard about this from a friend? You, I'm back here. Nice, awesome. Is your friend here?
Yeah.
Oh, Stacy. How about your friend? No, okay. All right. Anybody who is a friend of someone new here today, we want to thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. This is how we grow, actually. The number one way that people find out about Creative Mornings is through a friend. So you can bring a friend next time. And thank you for joining us today. Many thanks to John at Gensler. John, over here, thank you so much for, thanks to Gensler, of course, for opening up the space, and to John for connecting us to Gensler. This is a beautiful space for us this month, and it happens to be sunny outside, so couldn't ask for a better place on a better day. If you don't already know, Gensler is a global architecture and design firm with a deep passion for transforming spaces and shaping the future of cities. So yeah, huge thank you to John Carroll and Gensler. We can do applause. Clap. Thank you. And again, thanks, many thanks. Actually, this is new. Adobe is now a global partner for Creative Mornings, and this is really important for Creative Mornings as a whole to continue. We individual chapters, of course, also get sponsors and partners, but this is a global thing from Adobe because Adobe recognized the impact that Creative Mornings is having on the global ecosystem of creativity, and they are committing to reaffirm their support of creatives around the world. So many thanks to Adobe. All right. And I also want to thank you for being here and making the Seattle chapter what it is. So we wouldn't be here without you all. And how we keep it free is through local partnerships. We have had some amazing support over the years, and we can't keep it up without sponsorship support. So our chapter is a registered nonprofit, so sponsors can get a write-off, as well as feeling really good about supporting the creative community. So if you know of anyone you could connect us with who might be able to partner with us, please reach out to us at seattle@creativemornings.com, or you can talk to Jeremy, who's now over here. Okay. And of course, we are volunteer run, so big thanks to the volunteer team who works hard to plan and produce the events every month. So, thank you. Would you like to be one of us? We are looking for, so today we have Kemuel Newlin, who's the founder of Inspire Creative, and he produces our event videos every other month. We are looking for a new video producer to shoot and edit every other month that Kemuel is not able to do it. So, because Kemuel also works with the Polsbo chapter of Creative Mornings, which, if you didn't know, Polsbo is a new chapter, newish chapter this year. Anyway, so looking for a video editor, also looking for a new email manager. Our current very wonderful email manager, who's not here today, but she has just really stepped up our newsletters and our email this year, and we really want to keep that going. And she's very busy, so we need to find someone else to take that spot, and we only send out about 2 emails a month, so that gives you an idea of how much work that would be, maybe. All right. Okay, time for espresso shots. These are 60 seconds of someone from our community coming up and pitching something. You can always pitch us something. You can tell us if you want to do an espresso shot. There's a link to the form on our website on the About page. We have 4 this morning, so we're going to go quick. Starting with Robin, and I'm going to give you my microphone, Robin.
Thank you. Cass is going to help me out this morning.
Hello.
I have 3 pieces of art to show you, which are about my Zoom art show, which is next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Love to have you there. The first one shows all the bright colors that I do my art in. And I don't use I use a separate paintbrush and a piece of water for every different color I do so that I can make the paint go further. Then what happens is I'm always putting the paint off. And then it comes out to the second one where I use the tape and the painted off pieces to make another kind of painting. And then I use little yogurt cups to keep my brush paint in. And then the third one will show you what happens with a heat gun and some poured paint. And a little bit of fingers, but no brushes at all. So a lot of fun happens on this journey of self-trust. This is the latter part that I just added, but self-trust to me is everything in creativity, because we've got to have self-trust in order to move forward. So I hope you'll show up and come see me. Don't forget, you can sign up and I'll send you out the Zoom link. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Cost. Cost is also one of our volunteers.
Join us.
All right, next up we have Riley, who is also one of our volunteers. You probably saw him when you checked in.
Hello, yeah, I'm one of the month volunteers. So I've been affected by layoffs multiple times the last few years, so this time around I decided to become a full-time freelancer, and as I'm going into this new journey, I am looking to meet with businesses and individuals just to help me learn which of the services I want to launch with. So I'd love to meet and connect with basically anyone, and if you are a business, I would love to give you a free grand audit as well. These are the first 3 businesses that will meet with me. And this is not a pitch meeting or a sales meeting. I'm just looking for these connections and, as I said, insights into what I can help offer businesses from my 10 years working as a creative leader and in brand and marketing design. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Riley. Riley was one of the designers who helped out with our chapter's new rebrand. So if anyone has noticed all the amazing design that has been happening this year on our channels, That's Riley. And Taylor and Larissa, who are not here today. Okay, actually, before I move on, we have another one from, just popped up this morning. There you go. Thank you.
I just popped in. Hi everyone, my name is Avery Barnes. I missed the mark on getting a beautiful display on this large screen, so bear with me. I'm the founder of a contemporary African fine arts gallery in Taswira in Pioneer Square. We've been around for about 2.5 years, and this all started through my role journeying out to the African continent to meet with a really wonderful women's center who then became the first group of artists that I began representing. And this has been a trickle effect into representing artists from all over Africa, to opening a space and highlighting those here locally as well. We are expanding and moving to a new location on 1st in Washington, which is very exciting for us. It's a big leap, and we'll be opening. Who has heard of Christina Martinez?
Yes.
Raise of hands.
Yes.
Christina is not just an artist, she is a phenomenon. She is a mother of 4, Afro-Latina woman, and originally from Tacoma, Washington, and has paved ways in art and the sustainability of a career as an artist through partnerships with brands and marketing opportunities. And this will actually be the first solo exhibition she's done in Seattle, titled "To Those Who Remain Unbroken." So my call to action for all of you is, 1, to attend our opening on December 4th of the whole gallery and the special exhibition with Christina Martinez. And we also have a crowdfund campaign. So if you feel so generous enough to donate your coffee funds for the day, it helps, especially in this climate. So thank you. On social media at testspirit.africa.
Awesome. Thank you, Avery. And we do put our espresso pitches on our website after the event. So if you want to go find out more, it'll be on our website next week and in social media. Okay. I'm pitching this one, even though I don't personally have a connection, but we do talk about the Duwamish tribe every month because we are on Duwamish land, and every month we do a land acknowledgement. So this is another way that we can show our gratitude and respect to the Duwamish tribe is by participating in that community. So just wanted to do a little shout out for their market that's coming up later in November. So we do this land acknowledgement every month as a way of showing respect and honor to the people, the original stewards of the land in which we live and work. And it is appreciated by the Duwamish tribe. We are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people. And all of us can learn more about the tribe going online. I have mentioned this before, but the Duwamish tribe is not federally recognized. They have been fighting a legal battle for the last 17 years or more to get the federal government to make good on a treaty asking for federal recognition. So this is an important distinction for all tribes because it equals resources and money as well as honor and respect that they deserve. So just wanted to let you know, if you are interested in what more you can do, this is what they have suggested on their website, and you can learn more at duwamishtribes.org. So our theme for November is thread. This was chosen by our Derby chapter in the United Kingdom. Have you ever pulled on a thread in a sweater or a shirt and it starts to unravel? You just can't help yourself. Or you watch a movie and you have to watch it over again because you just couldn't follow the thread of a complex narrative. Or maybe you've pieced together your own family history to see how the threads of your ancestry have shaped who you are. In both a physical and metaphorical sense, thread binds things together that may seem very disparate, these different parts into a cohesive whole. And following a thread can really help to find hidden patterns. The creative process can feel a lot like this, like unraveling knots and making surprise connections. When you find a loose thread, follow it and see where it takes you. And that brings us to our speaker today, who is Colleen Echohawk, and she is an inspiring leader and advocate, and she's dedicated to uplifting Indigenous communities. Colleen is the CEO, and she runs the 8th generation, which she's going to tell you a little bit more about. And she's also a passionate voice for Native American art and justice. She weaves together her own Native American heritage with her experience in community development, public art, and design to create spaces of reconciliation and lasting impact. So let's give a warm welcome to Colleen Echohawk.
Thank you so much. Okay, is that the clicker?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, I think I've got this mic. Or no?
Just for the,
Okay, great. All right. Well, I'm so honored to be with you all today. Thank you for having me. I see some people that I am crazy about. I'm like, oh my God, I have to tell a story in front of you. But I just, it's just a good time, to be with you all. I don't know about you, but I've, the past week and a half been a little rough. But I feel like I'm coming back into my own a little bit, back to the work that is in front of us. So thank you so much for having me. I just want to point out as we start this time together that this is a blanket that I'm wrapped in here that I got to design that was based from a picture that I'm going to show you here in a few minutes. So I also want to just do one quick little plug because I don't know when else I'm going to get to do it, is that at the end of the year, I'm going to have a new website called ColleenEchohawk.com. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at CEchohawk. And I would love it if you followed me. I try to post cool things, so it'll be fun and exciting. Let's see. Oops, wrong way. I'm going the wrong way here. Which way do I?
do the one.
Is this one on the top?
White. No, the one covered in white.
Oh, yes. Cover white. Okay, there we go. All right. Our theme today was thread, and I started to think about what that meant for me, and I want to invite you all as we begin this time together. Number one, also, you're such a cool, beautiful audience. Thanks for being here. I'm so excited. I forget it was you here. Please reach out. Let's hang out. If anyone would like to connect on anything, please feel free to do that by DMing me on Instagram, because I would love to. I look forward to getting to know all of you. I connected the theme of thread with bloodline and with who I am as a Native person and where I have come from and who my people are. And so my talk with you all today is going to be connected to that idea. And as we begin, if you could just take a moment to think about how you have connected to the Native American story. We live here on Turtle Island. We live in Coast Salish territories. How have you connected to culture, tradition, art, architecture, design? And think about what places we haven't connected that and what the impact has been, not just on Native people, but on our entire community. My bloodline is connected to these two beautiful babies. These are my daughters, True and Zoe, and my amazing husband. I'm also connected to my father. This is a picture of my dad, Howard Echohawk, just connecting with my oldest kiddo, True. When I was a little kid, my dad would take me into his lap, or he would, take my face into his hands, and he would say with incredible intention, he would say, "Colleen, you are Pawnee." He would say, "Colleen, you are an Echohawk. Colleen, you are a Christian." We were very Christian. We love Jesus. And he would say it not just once, not just twice, but sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. "Colleen, you are an Echohawk. You are Pawnee. You are a Christian. You can do anything." He had such belief in faith in his kids. He devoted his life to providing a place of safety and security for his kids, because he did not come from that. He came from really hard stuff. He was raised out in Oklahoma and New Mexico with our tribe. He came out to Alaska to meet my mom. Well, I say that, but he met my mom, and my mom's this like beautiful little Irish bubble of joy. She's literally like every stereotype of the friendly, excited, singing Irish person. Like, she's just so great and so fun. And they gave us this incredible childhood. We were far from our tribe, though, and that was difficult. That's why my dad kept emphasizing, like, "You are Pawnee, you are Pawnee, you are Pawnee. It is your blood. It is who you are. It is inherent in you, even if you're not raised next to other Pawnee people." We also were fortunate to have our best friends who lived next door. Now, in remote Alaska, next door is, about a half a mile away. But we were raised next door to another Native family who became our relatives. They were from the area, and so they formally adopted us into their tribe in a potlatch ceremony that I was 7 years old when it happened, and I remember it so vividly. And my Uncle Fred John and my dad and Linnea and Yvonne, we'd hang out together all the time. And I would hear these stories of things that had happened to them. I would hear stories about my dad, like basically talking about this starvation situation he was in at one time as a child. And he would laugh and he would tell this story. And then my Uncle Fred John would talk about the boarding school experience. He was removed from his family at 5 years old and taken to a boarding school. And the stories would just be abundant, and they were so brilliant that they phrased it in a way that they were the heroes. And they made fun of their abusers, and they acted like, they were the ones who had overcome this terrible situation. And in fact, they had. And so I was raised with an abundance of love and support, despite being far from our tribe. This is a picture of my great-great-grandfather. And this picture would stare down at us from the dining room table. And I remember looking at it and just feeling so intimidated, but also feeling so connected. I always felt like his eyes were following me around. But my dad and my mom, again, were so intentional about saying, "This is who you belong to. This is who you belong to. You're never alone. Your ancestors are here watching over you." We called him the old man Echohawk, and he was the one who helped to negotiate moving our tribe from Pawnee in Nebraska, which are our traditional homelands, to Oklahoma. To our reservation. He dealt with things that were just commonplace at the time, including the Declaration of Independence that said that Native people were the merciless Indian savages. We were thought of as animals or some kind of incredible problem, savagery, not human. And that's the kind of situation that Native people were dealing with as this modern America as we know it came about. We come from Nebraska and Kansas with incredible traditional homelands where we had a thriving community, including housing systems, transportation systems, food systems. This is a picture of an earth lodge and some Pawnee people in front of it. These were housing that were incredibly efficient. They were warm in the winter, they were cool in the summer. And we had an incredible agricultural community. We could plant our gardens and then go off and follow the buffalo and come back to abundance of food. In the late 1800s, we had our own Trail of Tears as Pawnee people. This is a artistic drawing from my Uncle Brummett Echohawk that shows what it was like for our people. At one point, the Pawnee tribe was over 30,000 people. We lost a lot of people to disease and other things that happened while still in Nebraska and Kansas, but along the way, as we walked from Nebraska and Kansas to Oklahoma, we lost hundreds, thousands, babies, children, elders, adults, with all kinds of ways that people were taken away from us. In the early 1900s, there was only 600 people left in our tribe. I'm a direct descendant of those 600 people who survived an American genocide. We have to connect to those stories to really understand an American story. We may be in this place today, I will say I have been in this place, where I'm trying to understand what it means to be an American. What does it mean to live in this country, to participate in this democracy? I believe that the Native American story is an American story. This is a picture of my niece. Her name is Dewakiha. It is my traditional Pawnee name that I gifted her. She uses this name. When I was given to it in a ceremony in Oklahoma when I was a teenager, I just was like, okay, that's kind of a cool thing, but I never used it in my real life. People didn't do that. I was named Colleen intentionally. But my niece, Dewakiha, who was a rodeo queen and the cutest thing in the whole world, if you can't tell, she uses this name with pride and with excitement and filled with an indigenous pride. I'm going to go back to pride. She's proud of who she is as a Pawnee young person and soon-to-be woman. And that is the future of where I believe we need to be going in this country, and where we all need to be thinking about how we participate in a Native American story, even if we're not Native American. Because that is who we are as a country. We are Turtle Island. We are a native place. We have to reckon that there was so much that happened in this country, and so many people, the Native people were gone, including my family, that there was this idea of the vanishing race that continues to perpetuate our society today. I have had my kids in the second grade, as they're learning about Washington State history, and they start learning about Native people in this country, and they will self-identify. And they'll say, oh, I'm Native. And other kids look at them and go, what? I thought Native people were gone like the dinosaur. And that is a common experience for Native people. That is something that continues to have a very negative impact on Native communities, and not just Native communities, but a negative impact on everyone who lives in this country. Edward Curtis created all these incredible photos, and he was very sure that Native people were going to die. He says, respecting the mode of life of one of the great races of mankind. And I did like that he recognized we're the great races, right? But then he also said, but must be collected at once, or the opportunity will be lost. He was out there photographing all these Native people because he thought that he was on a mission. He thought that we were going to be gone. That is not the way I understand who I am as a Native person. I have been taught from my great-great-grandfather, my ancestors who were pushing me along. I've been taught from my father, my mother, and from my Uncle Fred John that I'm to shine, and that my kids are to shine. And my story is one of illumination, of presence, and visibility. And I want to get into a little bit of some of the work that I have done to kind of share with you what that creative process has been like, and also hopefully encourage you to think about Native people in design in your work. About 15-ish years ago, I fell into an executive director role. And I want to mention that when I was a kid, my counselor in our high school, I have 4 younger sisters, and we all were in the same high school. He said to us, he said, wow, you Echohawk girls, you really know how to talk. I'm like, yeah. And you really know how to be friendly with people, and you'd be great receptionist. You'd be great receptionist. Oh, and I cannot tell you how many times people said, "Oh, you're so articulate, Colleen." Such a surprise. And so I never really saw myself in that leadership role. I never thought I would be a CEO or an executive director. I never even imagined that. I didn't see that example out there anywhere. And I also want to invite you to think, where are our CEOs in the Fortune 500 companies who are people of color, and especially Native people? I think the way that we understand business and prosperity and the way we understand money would look very different if I was there, and I come from potlatch culture, where you give everything away, you don't hoard wealth. But we don't have those kinds of examples in some of these, and this kind of leadership in some of these incredibly important spaces. So think about that, and think about, let's find ways to solve that. And so 15 years ago, I just literally fell into this position as executive director of the Chief Seattle Club. I fell in love with it right away. I was like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. Yes, I'm the oldest child, so I love being in charge. And so I fell into this role, and I started working at the Chief Seattle Club. At the time, was a very small day shelter for Native people who were experiencing homelessness. Native people have the highest rates of homelessness, not just in this city, but around the country. Native people are the most likely to be homeless in our cities. And I started to fall in love with the Native community. And when you fall in love with your work, and when you serve your community, my creativity just went off the charts, you guys. I was like, my brain was just going, like, we could do this, we could do that, we should start these kinds of programs, let's design this kind of art. And so I just started falling in love with the community, in love with the people. I wanted to share with you one of the folks. This is Matthew, just this incredible human being. The first time I met him, I had come into our day center, into the kitchen area. It was like 6:30 in the morning. We opened at 7. But Matthew was there, and he was mopping the floor, cleaning up, just this incredible attitude. He had the deepest voice, this very deep voice, and he loved to talk. He struggled with a lot of things. He's a veteran, he was homeless, his life was really hard. Sometimes he would disappear though, like he'd be gone for a couple of months, and then he'd come back, and I'd be like, Matthew, what happened, where were you? And he's like, oh, Colleen, you know how my wife is a backup singer for Christina Aguilera? I'd be like, oh yeah, because he told me that story many times. He's like, oh, I went off to meet up with her on the road. And we were out, and just talking with Christina and the other backup singers. I'm like, wonderful, Matthew. And then other times he'd be gone and be like, oh, I was out doing some voice work for Disney. I'm gonna be on some Disney films. I'm like, awesome, Matthew. That was his story. That was his American story that he used to cope with all of the really hard things in his life. One day, I remember one of the last times I saw him, he was on the block over from Chief Seattle Club, and he was having a hard day. He was kind of stumbling around a little bit, and I said, Matthew, I said, listen, we're getting close, we're getting closer. Like, just hold on, and we're gonna get you into housing. And he used to call me my lady for some reason, but it's odd, someone calls you my lady, it's kind of cool. It wasn't creepy, it was nice. He took my hand, he's like, my lady, and he started crying. He said, you know what? It's too bad. He's like, when I'm inside, he tried to get into housing before. He said, the walls close in on me and I hear the sounds of war, and I can't do it. And I remember encouraging him and saying, we're gonna figure it out together. We're gonna figure it out together. Sadly, Matthew was one of those folks who died on the streets during COVID with just pure exposure. And it was so heartbreaking because we were literally so close to getting this big project done. When I started at Chief Seattle Club, I saw the numbers and I was just like, oh my God, our folks are just not being successful in the mainstream system. All the trauma that we've experienced, I always told people, why would Native people trust a US-run government housing system? There's just no reason to do that. So I said, we gotta do it ourselves, and I wanna just invite you to jump into your own work as hard as you possibly can with courage and boldness. I used to tell my team, we have to just drive for impact. People kept saying, you can't do it. I'd go to the Office of Housing and they'd be like, no, you guys have no money, you've never built housing before, you don't know what to do, you just don't know what to do. And I kept challenging that and saying, like, we have to do this. We have to do this. And I think that the creativity that comes when there is an urgent issue in front of you is wild. I didn't know how to build housing, but I built housing. And there is things that some of you are going to need to do as this country progresses into this new phase. And I want to invite you to be as bold as you possibly can and go as hard as you can and trust the process. And I'm going to tell you about a big fail here in a minute too, because you're going to fail, and that's okay. But I didn't fail on this one. This building is the first building in the downtown core that has a Lashutsi name. If we lived in a just society, we'd all be speaking Lashutsi, but it translates, it's called the All building, and it translates to home. We were also very fortunate, even though we were in a historic district, and building in a historic district is tough in Pioneer Square, but we were able to embed Coast Salish design into every part of this building. This building has I think probably the largest, but I'm not exactly sure, but a very large amount of native art, over 65 pieces. We raised an extra $1 million so that we could do that, because we paid all the artists, because we wanted this place to reflect creativity and joy and love and acceptance of all the Native people that were going to live there. It was an incredible experience for me. Around the same time, I was doing work around police accountability. I had been involved with many different things going on in the city, and I remember being in a board meeting for the Downtown Seattle Association. We were on Zoom at the time, and someone messaged me and said, "Colleen, do you think you should run for mayor?" I was like, what? And I got more and more and more requests, and I started thinking about it. I started thinking back to my great-great-grandfather, what he had gone through. I thought about my dad and the times he had looked me in my eyes and said, "You're Pawnee, you can do anything." And I thought, who am I not to answer the call? Why wouldn't I run for mayor? I wanted my kids to know that you get out there, you serve your community, and if these kinds of opportunities come up, you take them. You take those risks, you be courageous, you be bold. And so I ran for mayor of Seattle in 2021. Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so hard. It was so hard to run for office and to run for mayor. But it was something I'm incredibly proud of, and I'm really honored that I got to have the privilege to bring up some of the issues that no one else would have the experience. And again, when you serve and you love your community, when you fall in love with people like Matthew and fall in love with people like Michelle, like they were the ones I was thinking about as I was doing this, and thinking like, if I could do something to support them. The other thing I wanted to mention is that by that point in time, I really knew I was a good executive. And I think that sometimes people look at women of color and don't see executive. And it was important for me to like put that out there and to be sharing that with the community and for my own kids. And so I ran for mayor and I came in third. My kids love saying that. They're like, "Mom, do you remember when you came in third?" I came in third, and it was, after you run and like you have to clean up all the stuff and you have to thank all the volunteers, and I didn't really have time to really think about things. But probably 2 or 3 weeks after, I felt so bad, you guys. I was just like, oh, I tried so hard, I didn't win. And when you run, you think you can win. I thought I could win. But I have been very intentional recently to tell that story about really losing. I lost so bad, and I know what some of you in here are going, "No, but it was good that you didn't." And I do believe that. I'm glad that I ran. But that experience of failure was really important for me and my career. It was really important for me as an individual and as a Native woman to say, you know what, like there are going to be these moments in time when you try so hard and it's not going to work out. But what can I do? How do I pivot? How do I understand joy? And how do I understand where I'm going to have that impact next? It was incredible. And again, if you hear one thing from me, dive into your work as hard as you can and take those risks. And I'm so glad that I took that risk. I then was just kind of floating around trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And I get a call from my friend Louis Gong. And Louis says, Colleen, I think you should be the next CEO at 8th Generation. Totally came out of the blue. Thank you, yes, I love 8th Generation. I had no idea that I would be doing this work. It did not occur to me. My kids happened to be in the car when Louis called on Bluetooth, and as soon as I hung up, I was just like, what? And my kids were like, Mom, you have to do it. And the reason they said that is that they have grown up with me and grown up in this Pawnee Native family, and they understood the importance of visibility. They understood what we were doing. And 8th Generation is so important because we work with Native artists and designers from around the country to bring their art and design into the home goods space in a way that has never been done before. We talk about it on our team all the time. No one's ever done this before, so what do we have to lose? We have to keep pushing ahead and trying to figure out all the puzzles that come up in front of us. We're the first Native-owned company to produce our own wool blankets. Now, you may know that there's a lot of blanket companies out there who have been producing blankets for hundreds of years with Native designs on them. The way that they worked is that they just took those designs. They didn't talk to the artists, they didn't talk to the family, they didn't pay for those designs, and that has dominated what Native art and design looks like. So sometimes when we're working here at 8th Generation and we run a focus group and we hold up a traditional floral, like I grew up beading florals in Alaska, Athabascan florals. The Ojibwe community has a beautiful, just tremendous amounts of florals. A lot of Native art and design is based on nature because look at this beautiful place we live in. And I remember holding up a Ojibwe flower to someone who I thought knew a lot about Native art, a non-Native person though. And she looked at it, she goes, Colleen, I don't see that as Native art. And that is because non-Native people have been dictating what Native design looks like in this country. It looks like geometrics. It looks like the Southwest. It's cowboy. And so we have been on a mission to change the way that people understand art and design. I purposely chose this blanket. It's a newer blanket for us. It's designed by Michael Teller Annalis, who comes from a very traditional Navajo weaving community. His family are well known as weavers, and he's woven many beautiful Navajo rugs. He's also a gamer. Because any Native art that's made by Native people is Native art, and we evolve as people just like everyone else does. And so this is called Digital Phase, this blanket. And it incorporates a very digital look and vibe with also just incredible Navajo design in it. That's the kind of work that we do. And I will say that Michael received a licensing fee, a check from us, and he gets a royalty on every single product that we sell of his. Every artist gets paid and recognized. When you buy this blanket, it will even come with a little card that tells you about Michael. And so we're changing the future of Native artists, but we're also changing the future for American people, everyone who lives here. I can remember going to Japan in 2018 and seeing Japanese art and design everywhere. And I came back and we were in the middle of designing that building I was showing us, like, where is Native art and design? Where is it in our country? When we think about justice and we think about healthcare, that's one that, we know that Black and Native women have really, really tough statistics when we think about birth. Why don't all of our birthing suites be full of, African American design or Native design? Everything has been so focused around one way. All of our buildings are mostly designed by white male architects. We know that the built environment impacts justice, it impacts health, it impacts all the ways that we can see the future all the ways that we should see the future for Native people and other people of color. So our blankets are what we're known for here at 8th Generation. But we also do anything like, these ornaments. I gotta tell you, when we made these, I was like, hopefully they go good. We're sold out of them. Don't even try to buy them because we're sold out. People love them. And so we're trying to help find ways that people can incorporate Native art and design in their home in an easy way. Put it on your Christmas tree. Put it in your bathroom on a towel. It's an incredibly fun and exciting job. We recently worked with some artists to have an event at Town Hall. And we're known for our phrase, inspired natives, not native inspired, because that's how a lot of people would say, justify culturally appropriated art. They say it's native inspired. And so Louis Gong phrased inspired natives, not native inspired. And I was walking into the building and I saw that they had put up this sign. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe I get to be a part of this. I can't believe that way back in the day when my dad was like saying to me, you're Pawnee, you are Echohawk, that I get to be a part of being an inspired native myself, getting to shine and getting to be out here with all of you and be as visible and present as I possibly can for the future generations. And I also get to invite other people. I love that it said, enter here. Enter here, all you inspired natives, get in here. Let's see what we're gonna do together. Let's be at Town Hall, one of the most visible places in Seattle. And not just inspired natives enter, but all of us who care about society, all of us who care about the Matthews who are out there on the street, all of us who care that that we should be the kind of people that care about generosity, that care about kindness, and care about making sure that the vulnerable are taken care of. Enter here. Be a part of it with us. I feel and know, as I look ahead, I look at these beautiful babies that I get to raise, that my ancestors are looking down and saying, good job, Colleen Echohawk. You're doing the right thing. I feel them pushing me all the time. I hear them saying, my girl, you got it. Go harder, work harder, and play harder. Have a good time. When my mom and my aunt came over just randomly the other day, and I just sat around the table and thought, man, what a life I get to live. My ancestors couldn't have dreamed of this. And I get to live out that crazy wild dream that they had. Thank you for being a part of that dream with me today. Thank you for inviting me. Please connect with me on all the places. And please be as bold and courageous as you possibly can in the spaces that you impact. The future of this country and this city are waiting for you. And I'm going to be in it with you as well. So thank you so much. Let's make our ancestors proud. I love getting to be with you today.
Inspiring, thank you. We are running a little bit late, but Q&A is really important. And so,
Who wants to start with Q&A? We'll have maybe 4 or 5 questions.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask if you could talk more about potlatch culture.
Oh, sure. Yes, I love talking about potlatch culture. So I come from a northern part. So there's potlatch culture here in the Coast-Salish tribe. So I come from the Athabasca and Otna tradition of potlatch, and so we make sure we gather and we bring together a lot of goods and materials. So when we had our potlatch when I was 7 years old, we were given all kinds of blankets. We give blankets in Indian country. That's why we do it at 8th Generation. I remember we got like a whole thing of pots and pans. We got cash. We got all kinds of goods and money, and that was important because the community was saying, we honor you, we respect you, and we're going to give you all that we can. I also know that there's people out here in the Northwest who literally will save as much as they possibly can, and they give it all away. And so I come from a a community where we understood shared prosperity, that you give and you support. And when you have more than you need, then you give that away. And so that's why I think it's so important that people who come from these kind of cultures and communities are leaders in business and are leaders in those those spaces, so that we can understand a shared prosperity in a different way. Hi. Good to see you.
Love it. Love seeing you. I want what's been on my mind a lot lately is the separation of artists from small business, from creatives, and your story is meshing all of that together. So how do you, as you being you, make sure that you bring all of that to the table? People understand that being an artist and a creative means that you're also a small business.
Yeah. I think that's such an important question, and it's something we try to live out at 8th Generation. I think what's hard is that a lot of the mainstream doesn't understand it as being connected. So I think telling the story, we try to do that a lot on our 8th Generation social media, is saying like, hey, this is, I've got one story that comes to mind right away is that we have an artist out in Minnesota who has done really well with our business, and she was able to actually quit her job and do art full time and buy back her ancestral lands. Like, what? And she's an artist, you know? And yeah, I mean, and she's this incredible human. And so we need to tell those kinds of stories and help people connect small business and art together as like a way that we're going to see generational wealth building. So I'm just telling the story.
More questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love that. So dive deep into your work. And Native American history is American history. It's all of our history. Okay, so next month, join us on Friday, December 13th. So we're changing dates again for the holiday. We are excited to welcome muralist Angelina Villalobos. If any of you are familiar with her work, she's been getting some amazing visibility the last few years. She did one of the jerseys for Kraken, so it's kind of fun, as well as lots of public art, obviously. Our location is still TBD, so make sure you're signed up for our emails, and you will get that in your email. In the meantime, you can check out Creative Mornings global field trips. These are online events every month. There are dozens and dozens of them. So if you're looking for something creative to do in your spare time, there are dozens of events, and they're hosted by creative people in the global community. Just go to CreativeMornings.com to check those out. I did want to mention one other thing. I know that many of you are artists, and we have lots of holiday markets coming up. And I know one person here in particular is going to be at one, at the Finney Market. It's Stacy. And it made me realize there may be others of you who are going to have art or any other crafts at a market. And if you do, please let us know, because we would love to promote you and your work on our channels if we can. So just send us an email or chat with me. Seattle@creativemornings.com is our email. And thank you all so much for coming. Have a great Friday.